I'm Stephanie Larson, founder of Dancing for Birth, and I'm here today to teach you movement to use as tools for labor. So I hope you will get up and join me right now as I teach you these simple moves for a more enjoyable and more effective birth. We're going to start with a warm-up. So what you need to do is have your feet about hip width apart. You're going to flex your knees, and then I'd love for you to visualize a name in your mind. And it could be your name, or perhaps it's your baby's name. And then you're going to move your hips, and you're going to draw that name in cursive, as if your hips were the pen writing on the piece of paper. I'm doing my name right now, Stephanie. It's kind of a long name. Maybe yours is shorter. There we go. And don't forget to dot your I if you have one, cross your T. Good. And now that we're all warmed up, I'm going to teach you the 5 S's, and they are the sway, the shimmy, the stomp, the squat, and asymmetry. So we will start with the sway, and for the sway, again, we're going to have our feet about hip width apart, bend your knees, and it's important to have those knees flexed. If you remember one thing for labor, and movement during labor, remember to keep your knees flexed because that's going to give you greater mobility with your hips. So for the sway, we're just going to pretend that the pelvis is a cradle and the baby is within, and we're going to gently kind of rock that cradle side to side, gently swaying the hips. And not only does this feel good in labor, but the pelvic mobility will actually help the baby to move into, rotate and descend through, and then be born. So the pelvis is really important during labor, and if we move it, we're assisting the baby in the baby's journey. So this is one way to do the sway. I hope you're swaying with me right now. Good. And now another way to do the sway is to open the feet. Keep your toes and your knees in alignment. Do a little bit deeper of a knee bend. You can bring the arms up and then do a bigger sway of your hips. There we go. Have you ever seen any ancient art depicting women giving birth in this position? I know I have. This powerful, strong women birthing on their feet. And then you see the baby's head right here. Perhaps mom is even catching her own baby. It's really an empowering move. And it feels so good. It feels good to me right now, but it also feels really good in labor, so it's a wonderful comfort measure, in addition to being a move that helps use gravity to bring the baby down and out. So those were 2 examples of a sway. And now we'll go on, we'll do a shimmy. So for the shimmy, let's heel toe our feet back about hip width apart, bending our knees again. And then we're going to alternate bending and straightening our knees to make our hips go side to side. So we can start slow. And then we gradually get a little faster until you take it all the way up into a shimmy. Good. And when you're doing the shimmy, you're releasing muscle tension, you're releasing the pelvic floor, you're utilizing gravity to help the baby descend. And you might know that in transition in labor, sometimes Mother Nature gives us our very own shimmy. So instead of fighting it, let's work with it, and let's use that shimmy to bring the baby down and out. Feels good, doesn't it? No more tension left in me right now. Good, we're going to move on now. We're going to do the stomp. And the stomp is wonderful for also bringing the baby down and also for building energy. So when mom needs her second wind, when she needs that little extra gusto in the birth, think of the stomp. So here's one way to do the stomp. We can channel our inner sumo warrior or haka warrior from New Zealand or sumo wrestler. And we can do a nice stomp. Really feeling that weight connect with the floor in whatever way feels good to mom. So that's one way to do a stomp. Another way to do a stomp, I'll turn sideways so you can see it a little bit. This one also involves moving the pelvis, tilting it forward and back. And it looks like this. Can you hear me stomping? So all kinds of wonderful pelvic movement to help the baby navigate through the pelvis. These movements feel really nice on the lower back. Helps mom get into her birth rhythm. And you can see labor sometimes starting to progress very quickly when mom decides to follow her instincts and her movement of her body. Good, so that's the stomp. Now we're going to do a squat. And the squat is going to help open the pelvic outlet, and it's also going to work with gravity to bring the baby down. So mom can squat against a wall, against a person, perhaps a piece of furniture. Maybe I'll use this piece of furniture. And to do the squat, mom just leans forward with this nice open squat. She's going to point her tailbone up to the sky because that gives a great angle to help the baby come out, opening up the pelvis. And then she can combine that with whatever hip action feels good to her. So right now these birth circles are feeling good to me. And really, mom's going to know what move to do at what point of labor. So these are just some suggestions. She'll even know what direction to go, what side of the body to move, because really, that's the baby's way of communicating with mom through her body to tell her where the baby needs some more space. So that's squatting with some birth circles, and here we're going to do an infinity sign using the pelvis. So you're going to trace a figure 8 or an infinity sign with your hips while you're leaning forward. And we see a lot in labor that moms like to lean forward, right? Because it feels good, helping their back to relax. It's also making more space for the baby here. So that's why we see it so much in labor. Good, and now we're going to get on to our 5th S, which is asymmetry. And to do this one, we're going to stand with our feet about hip-width apart, bend our knees again, and then we're going to go up on the ball of the foot. We're going to lift that hip up and drop it down, change to the other side, lift it up and drop it down. Good, are you dancing with me? I hope you are. So why is asymmetry important? Well, I can tell you that it's important because as we're making our pelvis asymmetrical, meaning one side higher than the other side, we're helping the baby to find and utilize all the usable space in the pelvis. And that, of course, gives baby a little more room so baby can rotate and descend and find that optimal position. And let's end with a little shimmy. Thank you for dancing with me. I hope you've enjoyed these movements to use as tools during labor. Bye for now.